I'll call this study session meeting to order at 6 p.m. We're going to move on to old business. To item number 2, old business, any discussion of amendment to ordinance 2026-1208. This was the ordinance to establish the regular meeting day and time for city council meetings, study session times, and holiday scheduling. The amendment is it did not have specifically mapped in municipal code. Are there any discussions?
You can affect the meetings at the same time.
It was we would start, yes, study session would start at 6 and regular meeting would start at 7. Two Wednesdays.
And
I recommend that it stays the same, keep it on Tuesdays. There's no reason to change it if it's been on Tuesday since 1986. Yeah, but if you can't make it to a meeting, it's pretty much what the full answer for, so you can take over the meetings. So I recommend just to leave it the way it is. Tuesdays, 6 o'clock, every second and fourth Tuesday of the month.
Yes. Any other discussion? Moving on to old business E, discussion on the adoption of the city council rules and procedures. Did you guys get some time to look at that again? Review those?
But what if we, also many reviews in the whole.
That's actually something that we are currently with them through recommended Drew. Did you want it for roles and responsibilities? I believe her name is Emily.
Yes, so your risk insurance pool, WCIA, typically puts on trainings. It's called roles and responsibilities, and it basically kind of gives the overview of your responsibility as both as individual council members and then as a body. Again, this is something that's a service that's typically provided through WCIA. It's free of charge to the city. It's just something simply rolled into as a member of the risk pool. The person that Mayor is referring to is a woman by the name of Emily Romanenko. She is a member here at Ogden Murphy Wallace. She, as a municipal attorney, she has been previously authorized by WCIA to give these presentations. Since she is somebody who doesn't regularly appear in front of you, we felt that it might be best if someone like her give it versus myself or Miss Norton. We typically, to get the process, all you need to do is to authorize, reaching out to say you want the presentation. Typically, we probably need to reach out to the WCIA representative just to say, hey, we want to do the roles and responsibilities. We want to make sure it's okay if Ms. Romanenko can give it. WCIA will either say yes, or they'll say, hey, we've got somebody else who we think also might be useful to you. And then we will work towards scheduling that person to come to you, hopefully the next, if not at the next meeting, my hope would be at the very least the meeting after that. So sometime here, either late March, early April.
Further discussion? Okay, we are going to move on to item C, the discussion of climate element / community asset list and priority list. I don't know if you remember what a very first meeting they provided us with an asset list, and council was asked to kind of see what their priorities were, what they wanted to focus on. And so I just wanted to remind council to if you could continue to look at that and we're trying to get something finalized for next meeting. So, yeah.
That's the one up there.
Any questions?
So do you want us to, you did, you guys what we take and then you guys would put it in the finalize?
If they want to bring it at the workshop,
That's something too that I actually brought up some discussions for the current workshop. For next Wednesday? Yes. Yes. That's why you got caught.
that's the day you guys chose.
Well, cause I didn't know, I can't even get into it.
Yeah.
So that wasn't, so like that, we tried it for that.
No, the last one. Meeting.
It was emailed to you.
I didn't know.
Yeah.
No, there's something wrong with my tablet.
I mean, yeah.
It was emailed. Yeah.
Um. Yeah, yeah. So then, we're gonna move on to new business. Discussion of resolution 2026 14, a resolution of the city council of the city of Macton, Washington, establishing an official City of Macton Facebook page and adopting policies for its management and use. So like I had mentioned before, I think that it would be good to have just like an informative, Facebook page. Today I had a meeting with, our superintendent, Elise, and, that was one thing that I told her that something that maybe, we can, collaborate with the school and also, any information that they want our parents to get or anything that's going on, any, events that we can, post, like I said, I think that it'd be, since it's just informative, I think it would be good just to have comments off. It's not so much an open for discussion, that's why, we invite them, encourage them to come here to our city council meetings, and. Yeah, so.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, Drew.
No, if I can, just to kind of come across the top in case the council has questions about about whether or not we can turn on or off comments. The answer is yes. So a Facebook page qualifies under the law as something that's called a limited public forum, which means that you're not necessarily required to use it as a place as a platform for speech. It actually, a council meeting also kind of operates the same way. That's why we're able to provide rules about public comments, for example. If you do allow comments, the one thing, and this is usually an issue that cities face, is how does it regulate and moderate the page? You are not allowed to moderate or do the page. What I mean by this, like delete comments based off of viewpoint. You have to be called viewpoint neutral. And so a lot of cities have taken the decision to turn off comments because the question of what is considered, moderation based off of viewpoint versus what is moderation based off of, it's a potential threat or, disparaging speech towards others or anything else is a really difficult thing to address and handle. And so a lot of cities, and I'll use your neighbors to down the road, Sunnyside as an example, they do treat their Facebook page as informational only and have for some time now. So it is, for lack of a better word, as the mayor says, an informational page. So I just wanted to come across top and say, you know, from a legal perspective, these are the things you can turn on or turn on or turn off comments. But if you turn on comments, moderation is going to be a significant concern, and how you go about doing the moderation is something that the staff is going to have to take seriously.
Any questions?
Who's gonna be the admin to this?
It would be, the mayor and city clerk.
We can also maybe just put. It's on the page for questions and then. So, we should like them to do that. So pretty much what we yes.
Drew, I don't know how you feel about this, but in the content guidelines. It says political endorsements, personal opinions of staff. Or unverified information are prohibited. Doesn't that infringe on the First Amendment?
So I apologize, council member. I lost the first part of your question. It cut out on me. I heard the second piece, i.e. the First Amendment, and it sounded like you were quoting a piece of the proposed agreement or the proposed yes, policy. So if you could just please repeat the piece of policy that you're focused on, I think I can answer your question.
On the section of the content guidelines,
Yes.
it says political endorsements, personal opinions of staff. Or unverified information are prohibited. Doesn't that infringe on people's First Amendment?
In this context, it does not. And the city as an employer does have a right to regulate speech on its formal, for lack of better words, its formal tools or its formal modes of communication. And so if it can place rules in about, for example, that a city, I'm just going to throw this out there, that a city clerk could not use the city's social media page to give their own personal social media opinions, like whatever those personal opinions may be. And this rule passed that sticky wicket about like being content neutral, because you're not regulating based on what the speech is. You're not regulating, you know, what their actual like personal beliefs are. What you're regulating is the fact that they are using a formal functional, you know, outlet as a means to deliver their speech. You can regulate that. And
All right.
yeah.
On Tuesdays, information.
Yeah.
Not allowed them, not supposed to be. This is
Correct. Okay, any other questions? We're gonna move on to item, B. Discussion, on adoption of ordinance 2026-1209, an ordinance of the city of Mountain, Washington, adopting Mountain Municipal Code Chapter 2.28, a civil service commission, providing for severability, providing for corrections, and establishing an effective. Questions? Chief, Drew, can you speak further on that?
I can. So council members, this is a civil service commission specifically for city police. You are required under state law to have a civil service commission once you have 3 or more police officers, including the chief. You are now at that requisite number. The vast majority of the things that are in here, and when I say vast majority, I think everything except for the proposed term dates, which I think are currently set for March 31st of their specific of the specific dates is controlled by state law. So for example, you know, the terms of appointment is done by state law. The organization of the commission is dictated by state law. The you know, setting of the examinations and whatnot, that is all, and their compensation, their resignation, that's all driven by state law. There, you don't have any discretion in these. These are things that that your civil commission need to have. And then on top of that, while you have 3 or more police officers, you are also required to have this commission.
Okay, who chooses the board members?
The board members are chosen by the mayor and the council. And it could be the terminology in the law is that members of such commission shall be appointed by a person or a group of persons who acting singly or in conjunction as a mayor, city manager, council, common council. They appoint these individuals.
You taking applications or something?
Yes, that's.
Yeah. The next that would be, if you approve this, that would be the next step is to announce the vacancies and to open up for appointments.
And would it be a conflict of interest if a council member was to sign up for something like this?
I am so sorry, council member. Can you ask the question one more time? I think it's on my side of the system.
Would it be a conflict of interest if a council member was to apply for one of these positions?
No. Council members cannot serve on the Civil Service Commission. And the rules behind that is that as a council member, and I want to make sure I have the right phraseology here. So under RCW 38.12.030, a mayor or council member shall hold within the city government no other public office or employment. These positions are appointed officials that are deemed public officers. So council members are not able to serve as civil service commissioners. They also can't serve as, say, planning commissioners or climate advisory commissioners or whatever other advisory body exists within the city.
Okay, thank you.
We're gonna move on to item C, discussion of the master fee schedule and proposed rate increase. I was thinking this is also something that we can do a workshop. And that way it gives you guys more time to look at it,
We had, the ones in red, they did now, one in black was the proposal.
yes, correct.
Then we go to the second question on some of the.
Okay.
Where we're rating and why we're not rating that.
Oh,
So we're not gonna discuss this?
for our workshop, so we'll have to come up with a new time and date for next. for regular, Yeah. Moving on to item D, discussion, and the direction on rental of the church located at 408 Washington Street. As you know, the church was, given back to the city. And so we're talking about maybe, I know we've had one person interested in renting church out. on, you know, a monthly. And so we just kind of wanted to get some feedback from council as to, would you like to rent that out or?
Then it's really cold.
I think so, I think that's what this person.
The one before prior were rented for $900.
Okay.
Right, we looked at it.
That's what it had before.
That's what it's just kind of like, we're not lowering it, like, but I just. An example as to like what the, contract looked like, and that way you guys can make changes or. You know, make adjustments as you would like, but yeah, you guys would, council would be setting the rent.
I know right now, gonna be revenge now.
You got on here a $25 late fee. So if it's not due if it's not paid by the 5th, don't they got a grace period? Or they're not gonna be allowed a grace
Well, it
period?
would be, I think I think it would be on the 1st, so you have until the 5th. If you don't pay on the 5th or before, then you will get the late fee. But like I said, this isn't set in stone, this is just an example as to what they had before. So, you know, this is more just for you guys to take a look. You know, make your notes and we can further discuss this, but this is just that.
Well, I think we can. Yeah. Then they're doing empty.
It needs to be rented out, but we need to go over this to see if,
And we
we can
will,
approve
we
it.
will. This is,
Yeah.
this isn't final, this is just kind of give you guys an idea and, you know, we can totally get the whole new one, this is going off of this. Yeah. Any further? And we can do this. Bring your notes and stuff.
You have somebody who wants to rent it right away.
Well, I don't like think it's well, yes and no. It was just
Is it on there for the regular meeting to approve it?
no, we're just to discuss this.
When's the workshop?
We have to set the time, because we can't do it because it's why we called. So then for our regular meeting, we'll set a time and date, a new one.
No, when's the workshop?
We're gonna set a date for the new, because it was technically scheduled for the 18th, but that's why we called, so we're gonna set a new date. For that one, it's just.
Has anybody made contact with you? About renting that church, because your resume said that we had a bunch of people that wanted to.
So far, only one. Showed interest. But again, we can also, this is saying something we can advertise, it doesn't necessarily have to. But I know that there has been one person interested. Since this year, right?
Last year.
Last year, okay. That's only.
So we don't have it out as a advertising and like a community center with your name.
No,
We ever done, I don't probably like to. I would like to see it renaming some people, but that's just fine. We have nowhere.
Well, one of the things we gotta do is we gotta make sure, you know, it's gonna need upgrades, those upgrades are gonna have to be.
That's not bad, the only thing is that I did before, because it's fun, so we can't dance and everything that. But the bathroom, everything's pretty nice. This point.
I know, but it hasn't been inspected by the inspector to see if it's up to par. See, because that would have to be inspected by the inspector as far as electrical, exits, entries, everything.
Fire chief did inspect for that.
Yeah, look there.
and we can set something up for next week. On either Tuesday or Thursday, and we can go to a little bit. And whoever wants to.
I would like to go in and take a look at it, because, I know this has been talked about before. The last time it was brought up, they said that the roof was leaking. So if that's the case, the roof would need to get repairs, because that's gonna be on the city's dime.
And that's something, yeah, we can look into when we go into the tour and just kind of get some pricing next to it.
I smell it, okay, we did, I see on the brook, we did the windows first. Then they did the floors or something like that, and found out the leak. Because then we did the floors.
I think they.
Florida, they just painted over it or something. They didn't level it off.
No, not that part, no, they just put it in, fixed the floor, but then they found out there's a leak. Yeah.
So,
See, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I recommend that we talk about this during the workshop because there's more questions to be asked than what we're asking right now. And we can ask those questions during the workshop.
And then also by the time, well, like I said, Tuesday, we'll set up the time to see for, and that way you can, you know, whatever your concern are for the. We can bring that for discussion.
I like to go.
Yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
I'll make sure to have Money, also have her send out an actual test. Do this. You said something.
It'll be separate times or at least no
Yeah,
more
it
than.
has to be kind of separate kinds of. I mean, well, I don't know, I mean, it just.
I do agree to go out.
Okay, everyone else, just so there's at least two, okay, so we'll do put to the end. We're good. And put back, okay. We'll do, yeah. Okay, so we'll do that, so we'll put that down as.
And Martha, you
Yes.
said on the 19th on a Thursday, I got party meeting that night.
It would be Tuesday,
Tuesday,
I think Tuesday.
17th?
yeah,
Okay.
that would be the best, yeah.
Okay, that's why I was looking at the calendar over
Yeah.
there. 19th, I got party.
Here. Okay, so next item, E, discussion and direction on rental with the Greater Mountain Association. So last week, I met with, not yet, Nita, sorry, Nita, about, I know before apparently they used to rent. Or they used to keep some of their stuff in the Hope building, and so. Yes, correct, it's still in there, and so we had a meeting to discuss about. Either maybe using that again, or. We were thinking just because it's been broken into and I feel like that's kind of, you know, a risk. We were thinking since we have room here, maybe we could. Here in the old city hall, we suggested to her maybe renting. A little spot for her, for them, sorry, I should say. And so anyways, we just wanted to get some. See what your guys' thoughts was on that.
Well, in the past, when Mario was there, they first started, this was Jimmy first started back with Mario. And he offered the building to us, that building and the. We didn't have to rent. We didn't use it. We settled it, let's use it. And have our meetings and our stuff there.
And that's one thing too, she said, or we also suggested they could have meetings here. Yeah. Yeah, that's what she mentioned, and I didn't tell her, I said, well, I told Sophie along. And there you go, so I said, I mean, I would like to attend them, so that I said, well, let's just, and even my said she's. If there's a certain, like, if there's a schedule, you know, and make sure that either her and I will be here too, yeah. But not and walk up and stuff.
So yeah, basically we still have all the stuff stored in.
Yes.
in that building.
Yes.
We did, we're starting this now as well, so everything was in decoration, both all along.
Yes. Right.
We would like to be able to keep this stuff and access to, but I'm not having.
Yeah. And we did, you know, and we did bring that up to her, if she was okay, obviously at their risk, like, you know, it.
Right.
Yeah.
It was before, yeah.
Yeah, and she said that, yeah, that was fine. She did bring up, doing a rental fee, I think it was, I think it was 50. Yeah. But that's,
We take that much for the storage we're having, so, you know, I would like to see a contract with that.
yes,
Between the city and GM.
Correct.
And have on file because the other one evidently disappeared here.
Yeah, and you know, have that contact with her, that's really nice. Right, and also have them be the ones in charge of this mountain, if that's what everyone to come. Volunteer for her to come, and so they want to be in charge of doing this mountain, I think something they had to go through us, and we had access to that building, we had our boat belongs to them. Yeah, but anybody can be a volunteer, remember, or like a director. Okay. Or that, how do you do that? Okay.
I would recommend taking into consideration that GMA is representing the city of Mountain. I realize that $50 a month. If they're gonna be representing the city of Mountain and the things that we do for the city of Mountain, I wouldn't have an issue, not charging them rent. Just for the simple fact that they represent the city. And if that building's just sitting there stagnant, I mean. I wouldn't have an issue with them keeping some of their stuff in there, and the other thing about that is that. They would have to have access to a key to that building. And that key would have to be designated to one person only. Not unless that person decides to. If they're not around, they can pass it on to the next person, in case they gotta get in there for whatever. I don't have a problem with that. I don't. As far as meeting in here, that's not an issue. As far as designating a room or the back part of this building, that's not an issue. But we gotta remember that right now, City Hall is on a rental basis. I don't know if it's on a lease for a certain period of time, but if that's the case, that building might shut down and come back into this one. There's no reason to be paying, on two buildings, light, whatever. I don't know who uses this building or whatever, light, water, I think there's nothing wrong with this building here at all. So I would kind of keep that in the back of the mind, that if we are gonna let them borrow a spot here, which is not a problem, let's see what we can do. Once everybody comes back to this building, we have to give them another spot somewhere else.
Okay. Just to say something about GMA, we are for our community period, any monies that paid and spent, we don't go out of our city just to do anything. It's just when I. We do get a few issues from them, but we don't spend anything. So,
Oh, sorry, your hand was. Yes, sir.
He's muted.
It would be helpful if I was off mute. I'm raising my hand because I'm hearing council members talk about it, and I know I was told beforehand that at least Councilmember Zavala, and I think also you, Councilmember Sotelo, and correct me if I'm wrong, you're both members of the Greater Mapton Association. That's great. We oftentimes have council members to be members of organization that has business in front of the city. I would ask that the council members, and particularly the two council members who are members of that association, just be aware that, as council members, you have to abide by a set of code of ethics, and particularly to make sure that you are not voting on things that have conflict, that presents a conflict of interest for you. And what that typically means on the state level, and I'm not saying that I heard anything that would suggest otherwise, is having a financial interest in the outcome of a decision. I point that out in part because it's always good to remind ourselves to be mindful of these rules, but also to say in the future, it's also good to give disclosures at the beginning to say, I'm a member of this organization. This is my role. If there isn't, if it becomes an issue for the council, it may be a situation where we ask you where you need to recuse yourself. Again, not saying that is an issue here, because I haven't heard anything that suggests that. But the fact that, multiple council members have said they're members of this organization raises this question for me. And so I just want to make sure that the two council members who are members of the association recognize that. And if there is, if they want to say, this is my role, I have, this is my part of it, or, I direct some authorization, or I do something for this organization, feel free. But that I just, hearing this conversation, hearing those points, I felt it's important to interject.
See, and I agree with you, Drew, as far as recusing themselves from if it comes down to the vote. But even at that, we still have 3 more council members that could make that vote on their own. We still have enough.
Right.
people.
Well, when it comes to recusals, it really comes down to number one, disclosing your relationship. And most importantly, disclosing if you have any financial interest in the outcome of the decision. If you're a volunteer with an organization, even if it's a volunteer officer, and you're not paying a dollar is not going into your pocket from the decision, you don't have to recuse yourself. It is good practice and good governance to disclose, hey, I'm a member of this organization. I serve as this role. I don't receive any compensation, or I won't have any outcome in this interest. I don't have any financial interest in the outcome of this decision. Ask me questions if you got concerns, and then the body can determine, well, yes, we want you to be a part of this conversation, or you're not, or we don't want you. But if there's no financial interest, and there's no statement that, hey, I have a stake in this outcome, there's no evidence to suggest that, then I wouldn't necessarily say, absent a decision by the body, I wouldn't say that person absolutely has to recuse themselves. Does that make sense? And the reason why I focus on financial interest is because the code provisions that deal with this on the state level is RCW 42.23, and they specifically talk about prohibited acts taken by council members who have a financial interest in the outcome of business in front of them. But other cities have gone further than that. That's only the state law. Other cities have adopted code of ethics that require a bigger, that say that council members are recused from decision making for even in situations where they don't have a financial stake, because, and it depends on, are they controlling the organization, or some other set of factors. But you guys don't have that. That might be something for the future. But at the very least, if there's a council member who does have a financial interest, potentially in the outcome of this item or any item that come in front of it, and now and in the future, they should recuse themselves.
Hey, Drew, so can I give you an example what my role is? I think Vera's on there too, but we're all volunteer. None of us get paid anything. We just volunteer our time for all of this. We do make money by doing stuff to be able to do the events every year. I'm the president of the organization, but I don't get any time. None of the money comes to my account. Actually, I put it on.
Oh.
And
Okay.
Vera's the same. Well, she's not an officer anymore. She's just a member. Same thing, volunteer. So do you think we should have to recuse ourselves if we wanted to vote, if we had to vote? Or should we just let the council members decide? I
think at this point, I think the council members should decide that question. I don't see based on what you've just said, Councilmember Sotelo, I don't see something that calls for an automatic recusal. So it should be a decision of the body.
I'll volunteer. We don't get paid anything. We pay money in. They know they already knew that.
So.
And if we had to recuse ourselves, there is 3 other.
Yeah. Right. Really quick, so. Council member, or you guys, you suggested no rental fee, correct?
Yes.
Okay, and have it be the floater?
What's that?
Have them still use the floater?
I would think so. I mean,
Okay. Just
I would-
so that we can kind of come up with just kind of like a draft,
yeah.
okay. For a contract. Any more discussion on that?
I'm fine with it.
Yeah.
There's no
I
charge.
just would like in the contract not to specifically say we have to be using the float to use the building, because right now there's no number for interesting. It becomes, and when the float's in there, anyway, but we don't take the building out. Or,
But I thought we had another group over there at the sewer plant.
no names mentioned in the mid-bond, but that's,
Is it wrong, dude?
The city bond.
we don't know who knows.
Well, you guys were here at the city bond, right?
Oh, we weren't here.
I don't see.
Yeah, I think you were money.
Yeah, you
No,
It hasn't been that long.
it was before.
Was it?
Yeah, yeah. I didn't, I think when I was here was discussed, but I was not here when it was purchased.
And if it was purchased, what money, where did that money come from?
Yeah,
You know.
I don't know if you get money, you have to see. From my understanding, it's unusable. But I'm not sure, that's just.
So I think that's something he needs to check. You know, to see if it's usable,
Yeah.
you know, if it's got a bent frame, you can't use it. If it's got a cracked frame, you can't use it.
Right?
Yeah, I think you'll be able to.
Right.
Well, we don't need to store something out there that's farms.
Yeah.
The cities, and if it's not usable, it doesn't mean, yeah.
Right, so I don't know if I would ask you, if you can ask to get us, seats on that and see when it was purchased and who purchased it from who and how much.
So we're going to move on to item F, discussion of spring dump day, setting rates and dates. Is that something that you guys, I know there's been some residents that have came in and asked if we're gonna do that this year. You guys wanna discuss on rates and, I think last year was 15 first trip and then 17 is the second trip.
Then,
Oh,
7.5.
7, okay.
7. Was
Okay.
I 7? 7 and 15.
that's all.
7, 15.
Okay,
That's
sorry.
the draft of the thing and it's marked off, okay?
Is it one increase?
See, the ones that I targeted on, or it's gonna change.
Yeah, so if we're gonna. I guess discuss on making food.
Not do it without, after allowing. Furniture, big old sofas, appliances, that's a lot, we don't have.
Well, the appliances, using something, but they're going to the city, they.
Oh, so there's quite, there's doing that, so in industrial, we should be putting big old sofa in there.
What is the city paying per dumpster? Cause I know those dumpsters are like 2.5. At least. When you buy $250 per dumpster, once it's full. Cause they usually go by weight. But that's about the average. So is Matthew covering the bill on every dumpster that they take from here?
That's why
Mhm.
that's the starting to charge.
It's not a free dumping.
That's why it's not.
Okay.
But this, I remember the industrial. That's what Wade said, they give like 2, 3 per year. And that's included in there. Like that.
They give you what,
That's
3 of them
3 per year.
for free? Yeah, they end up filling up what, 5, 6 in the weekend? Or in a day?
It all depends.
It depends on how much.
It's slow.
Yeah.
About furniture. In the past, they didn't allow large furniture or appliances, but the appliances that is the metal, the city's keeping it, and they're recycling. But furniture, if you got. Over that.
That gets,
And no tires, right?
you know, tired, the furniture, that gets crunched up pretty good with the backhoe. Once it gets put in there, so it, yeah.
Yes.
Do you guys designate dumpsters for certain items? Or everything just goes to the same dumpster as it comes in?
There was one for beads, one for like. Everything else.
Yeah, because I know the dump site. Zilla, these are separated. You got a section for weeds, you got a section for appliances, you got a section for paints. You got a section for oil, you know, it's all. It's well organized, but it's all separated into different areas. That's why I was wondering, you can just dump whatever you want to a dumpster, and that's the way they're gonna take it. Okay. And that's gonna be during the spring?
Saturday.
No, I'm just curious.
It's the spring and I believe the fall, right?
Yeah.
There's one, yeah, spring.
Okay. Because
People are already cleaning the yard now, so I think.
because I know that over here, going toward Grammy on Euclid, that's free.
Not
That's
anymore.
good, right?
Yeah, well, yeah, for brush, because of the Japanese beetle.
Yeah,
They're charging.
Are they?
oh, they are?
They started that this year because,
Yeah, they do start it, it hasn't been that long, because we go back for we go.
yeah, because they weren't charging last year. Okay.
There's certain money I do, and don't charge them, I don't know, we have to follow up. And I suggest we make it longer. Noon is just not long enough.
What were the hours last year?
Things to the noon, so like that.
From 9 to,
Well, they, but they,
Well-
because they don't like, still charge outlets and they're really bigger, it's just, he said that, like.
Right,
city
it's
says
not
this,
like
I-
that.
Okay, so my question too is, back in the day, like when. I think Mario was here, I know OB, some of the people that worked here. And the clerk or deputies, whatever they were, they're the ones that were out there. Just these past 4 months, 5 months, they want the council people to go. So what do you want? 4 years. Yeah.
The difference is.
Because when I started here. I did that. Times. It was only me. And. Mom and Barney.
think the Laura was there too. We didn't have to,
Yeah.
and all, we didn't, nothing, all we did was check the IDs.
Check their IDs and stuff like that.
I mean, I feel like volunteer, I mean,
Yeah, because we can't pay the city staff to go out there and spend the day. That's the difference. Yeah. Us, we just volunteer. And we can't, and can't.
Yeah, when you say-
Several times.
That was the question. I want.
It's I think it's gonna come down to council members' discretion, whether they want to or not. It would be. It would be a nice thing to volunteer your services, to show the citizens of Mappin that, yes, we're here to help you guys, in whatever it takes. You know, so I think it would be, that doesn't necessarily mean that everybody has to show up. If you can't make it, you can't make it. But if you do have the time, even if it's for 2 or 3 hours, you know, at least something to show,
That's how
that
we
we're
did
willing to
it
help
last
out. yeah.
time. Only needs to be one.
I'm sort of like, I'm fired.
I was just wondering because that, when I first started in council, I was one of them that was out there all the time. No other council member went out there, and if they did, it was like for an hour, 30 minutes, and we were cool.
And so then it would be someone checking IDs and then another person taking the money for that.
No.
Oh,
No.
they clear.
I did.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
The city,
Filter.
gives us some kind of paper, but everybody's.
Like, oh, gotcha, okay.
And then you just mark down, they should always their water, and then just mark, okay.
It's just a map, so you have to have a lot of them.
So that's added on to the water bill
Yeah.
at the following month?
They put it check, if you came one time, but then check twice. and I don't know what it does.
Oh, gotcha, okay, so it's after,
Yeah.
okay, gotcha. Yeah.
You might wanna think about it, because you got a house here now. So I don't know if that's gonna be in the way. To where you're gonna have to bring it further down the road this way, closer to Martha's house,
That's where we start.
or on the side of the park.
The only thing they ever put over here is, when wells out, they open the gate like the tires and stuff like that. Things that they're,
Rather than a fine.
yeah.
And who disposes that?
We don't take tires anymore.
There was one,
One time.
special time that person wanted to cut.
Yeah.
So we gave. But the appliances in the last 2 times, I think.
The city
been the
did.
city, they're using
The
it
city had to
for the bed.
flat bed thing in the.
That was sitting right there and they put it right on it. At the time.
So.
I think that if you could be set like a set of rate and, or if you said no changes on the rate, but at least a date by next council meeting, so we can start, you know,
Yeah,
letting the residents know.
Oh, I think so too, because
Yeah.
spring break's coming and everybody's already starting
And then
thinking.
you gotta get hold of the dumpster, people who
Yeah.
what's the date, the 10th?
Then the 10th.
Yeah.
Next meeting is the 24th.
Today's the 10th. What is the end of the month?
Tuesday, the 31st.
That's the end of the month?
Yeah.
So what about the 28th, or the last weekend of the month?
That's 28. And that's the week that mostly everybody's getting spring break.
But
Spring break, like the schools and stuff, and that's.
so the 28th.
Mary,
I would,
isn't spring break around the first week of April? The last,
I don't know,
yeah,
is it
yeah,
first week of April?
usually towards the end of March.
So I think that schools will go off on the, get that done on the 27th.
Yeah,
and
and
then-
it starts.
and so,
But then we will have to.
Yeah.
so it would be, I'm pretty
The
sure
church
it's
on the
30th.
end of the month.
Because everybody should be cleaning their house, yard, because Easter, their parties and stuff like that.
I don't know how you guys feel about like an 8 to 3.
Well, it would have to be a little bit longer than the 12 o'clock.
Well, that's what I'm saying, because I know something like this, people are gonna wanna get their first thing in the morning. You know, so even a 7 to 3 or an 8 to 4 or something like that. Because more than likely, some people are gonna end up taking at least 2 or 3 loads, you never know. And if they end up. Yeah. That, at least that gives it enough time in the afternoon to like, get rid of their stuff.
Not too. Too low, but you have to go back and unload it up again, so it just wasn't. I don't think.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying, that's why it should be extended later on in the afternoon. To give people time to be able to get rid of their stuff.
Then start later.
Well,
9 to 3.
No.
Out there by 7
Yeah.
o'clock or something like that, right?
I'll go first one is quick.
You live right there.
Yeah.
Only
I-
thing we have to keep the city working. Downtime, we have to be.
Do we need all the city workers?
No, I don't think so, because
At least two,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
because you need backhoe you and then.
And someone in the.
Yeah, just there.
Because the people themselves have to go through their own garbage. We don't,
No, they help.
why?
They help the
They
older
help,
people,
they help the older people.
which there's a lot of them.
Some, yeah, are out there selling their stuff, and then there's some that they didn't.
Yeah. That's what we're for.
Martha,
To help her.
Martha, first find out,
Huh?
Nobody.
first, find out what's the longest, Yakima Valley will wait.
Oh.
Well,
Yeah.
Yeah. And if they had somebody available on the, you said the 28th?
If for some unforeseen reason, one of the dumpsters doesn't have time to go back, they can always come and pick it up on the Monday,
Yeah,
or Tuesday or whatever. Yeah,
Oh, we did.
yeah,
The only thing is that. As soon as the truckers leave to go and dump and come back and open up and we leave. People are coming and dumping and just leaving a mess around.
There's a depth.
That's the only problem.
well, hopefully we'll have an officer on duty to put a stop to that. On the weekend, yeah. Yeah, cause once it's done, it's done.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
that's how it should be, but
Yeah.
some.
So how do you guys feel from 8 to 3 or 8 to, I mean, from 7 to 3 or 7 to 4, something like that?
See what time they want. Yeah,
Well, really, it's up to them when they can't make with us.
They can wait
Yeah.
the truck,
Yeah,
the dumpster.
So it's still
But-
one.
Cause I think one time I was out there at 7, one time she had a project, but.
They had it, they had it,
Like bring it the day before. Yeah, you can have it for-
Well, that, no, that's when people start bringing
Oh,
stuff
true,
in.
right, yes.
What?
Okay. They're obviously like service and it's.
Some of them.
Any other discussion for that? We're gonna move on to, item 4, or number 4, sorry, visitors' comments. Comment?
Very much.
So, number 5, moving on, the city council will now go into executive session pursuant to RCW 42.30.110 complaints or charges brought against a public officer or employee, and RCW 0.110 discussion with legal counsel about current or potential litigation. The executive session will last 15 minutes and no action will be taken during the executive session. We expect to return to open session at approximately
7:11.
7:11.